Hey guys, good morning and welcome to Bajerski YouTube channel. Welcome to the Pure Energy Healing Academy. Have you ever looked up before? Look up. Can you see? What do you see? They're butterflies. Yeah. The interesting thing about butterflies is I use that as a metaphor for everybody who comes here to learn how to heal and to heal themselves. Be the butterfly. Last night, I finished my work. I was working on some crystals over here, and when I was tired, I'd finished my work with the crystals and spent another couple of hours sending you a PDF of Diary of an Accidental Psychic. I was really exhausted, tired, and it was an emotional day yesterday. I lost a dear friend who's been a friend, not a client. I don't call them clients. Once I've got to know somebody, we have a close bond for many years then, hopefully, you know. And anyway, she moved into the light yesterday. And then a lot of silly people with silly things being put on social media. I think some people are in really bad places, and you know, when somebody starts to, I actually, the more I realize now about, it's not fame, but when you become more well known, people are seeing you more, and you can actually really see how people who get famous quickly, they fall really easy, because the amount of darkness that is out there in the world that attaches to, you know, lost souls who do the most chemically imbalanced things, you know, they really do some silly things, really. I mean, I'm sure they look back in their lifetime and cringe at the sort of things that they do. And I've seen a few, I got sent a few videos yesterday of real, I'd say really unbalanced people who had created videos of, you know, like executions of me and like really crazy things. They came from America, these guys in America. I really don't understand the logic in these people, whether they're doing it to create shock. Maybe it is, maybe it's the shock where they can make money, clickbait. There's a lot of that going on about, and they're always looking for the next thing to do, and you know, they probably lose sight of themselves and reality. They also sell the souls to what I call the darkness, and the darkness easily loves that, manipulates people to do craziest things, and you know, there you go. And all that combined, yeah, it was a little bit emotional, and talking about my mum, as you all know, as you talk about your family members who you love who's moved into the spirit world. Anyway, how things happen and how beautiful things are. The windows were closed, the doors were closed, everything was as it was. And I woke up this morning and I had a smile on my face, and I walked into this room as I do, and I always say thank you and I always say good morning to everybody, okay? You think I'm crazy, right? Nobody's here, but they are. And sure enough, I'll show you what I saw. I walked into the room and saw this. Right there. It's a feather! And a couple of 3 days ago, I was walking in Spain, and as I was walking in the hills of the Camino de Santiago, from nowhere a feather came down, and I held my hand out, and it just landed on my hand. And I looked around, and there's no trees, no birds. And you know, sometimes a feather's not just a feather, right? How that feather got there when all the doors and windows are shut, you know, you realise. Anyway, guys, let's move on. This has happened to me for 13 years of being on this journey, so it's no surprise, but it does make me think, wow, how amazing is spirit? How many times do they do little quirky things to us, like, you know, where's my crystal gone, and well, you know, how does that just happened, and oh my god, who have I just bumped into, and you know, yeah, it's like they're so clever. So today's subject, guys, is a really in-depth subject. Probably only maybe 5% of you will hang around because it's too in-depth for most people, and they want a short, quick fix. And you know me by now, guys, that's not what happens here. I'm not a clickbait cell. Even though I think one of my last videos I wrote the end of the world, but I didn't mean for that to be a clickbait. I kind of wanted people to think, oh my God, not again, and then to come and actually listen. But as usual, nobody does. They just see the title and they're too busy, so they're off again. And yeah, we'll press dislike because we know what he's saying, when actually you didn't know what I said at all. And that's basically the story of most of our lives. Most of us, and in truth, I look at myself deep and ask myself the same question, because I made that mistake yesterday. And I always will do, I think. I'm sure that's one I'm never going to get rid of. But I always presume things instead of listen to the whole story. And I noticed something, and part of my new book, one of my new books, is I was sat in a really nice cafe called DZ. And as I was sat there about to start my first words of my new book, I stopped and looked around. And I realised something really profound, and I started writing. I said that everybody, nearly everybody, spends most of their time waiting to say what they want to say before the person that they're speaking to has even finished. We don't really care about what anybody else is saying. All we care about is waiting so they say something, and then we're ready to say something else because it's attuned us to something that we want to tell them. So we're all on that kind of more ego level that we just want to talk and share our truth, and nobody's really listening. And you know, that's something that I have to do. I mean, I do listen, but I jump to conclusions. I think we all do. And I think we're all wanting to say our thing. And I think, you know, one of the things that I'm going to do in the near future is do retreats where it's silent, completely silent. And that means that you're able to feel. You see, a lot of the times when people come here, in these 4 days of learning healing and learn to connect to our spirit world, we don't talk. Because talking that's disruptive. It's just making us think. And it's the thinking that stops us from the connection. So a lot of the times I keep everybody quiet to find and to hear and to feel their truth. So how do we go on to this subject, whereas so many people say to me, Mark, is there such thing as a spirit guide who is with us all the time? Is there such thing as angelic protection? Are we always protected? These are great questions. And the only way I can share with you my truth is through what I've learned through 13 years of hands-on healing and a good few years teaching as well. And that is that I don't read other people's stuff. That's something that I just feel is completely wrong for me, because I want to experience everything, and thus I share with you my experience, not from other people's books. That's not experience. So what I soon picked up on when I was healing was, can I skip all of that? Yeah, this could take a long time. Maybe I should skip to the very end and just explain something. When a client comes here for a healing session, I explain to all the people who come to learn healing that in their mind they're thinking that client's laying down and now I have to work on that client and look for things and do things. And I try and clear that away from them and say, look, this beautiful soul who is now in front of you has been brought to you by the beautiful flow and the synchronicity of spirit, knowing that where you are and where you're going to be is going to be the perfect place for them to bring their loved ones here. So first of all, stop thinking that they're just here because of a bit of luck, or just because it happened, because they saw an advert or they heard something. Synchronicity is Spirit's helping hand. And how whoever is laying down there, you need to honor that, because I know how difficult it can be for Spirit to bring people to a certain place for a certain reason. So when we interact with anybody, we've lost that ability to understand that it is a sacred moment that two people out of 7 billion, 8 billion people, you've been brought together for a certain reason. And most of the times we don't even see that. We don't feel it. We don't recognize it. We don't hear. Remember what I said about DZ when I'm sat there? Everybody's trying to tell each other their story, but nobody's listening. So I believe that we've lost the art of understanding why we are brought together, because we're too busy in our ego sharing our story instead of listening to what we need to hear. And maybe, just maybe, the truth is that when we are in front of somebody, we should really listen rather than speak too much. Yes, we are all teachers, we are all pupils, but we need to find the balance. There is a reason why we have two of these and only one of these. And thus, when somebody's laying down there, I have a big smile on my face because I know that Spirit has brought them there. And there isn't any reason for me to worry or doubt because they've been brought to you. And if they've been brought to you, then there must be something that you have to offer. And that's what I trust in. So I don't fear, and I share with my dear students, whatever they want to call themselves, friends, people who just want to learn the art of healing, that they have to trust. They have to trust beyond anything that their family have brought them here to you. That is really, truly amazing. We all have protection. Oh, but Mark, something happened to me. Yes, because the bigger picture is we come to choose certain things that we need to feel, and they can be very devastating. They can be, we can be here a week and then go. We can be here till we're 96 and then a terrific accident happens, a terrible illness comes, and but all these things happen. How can that possibly be? No, it's our choice to learn and feel terrible things and sometimes happy things. But along that way, we are always led and guided to certain things that we need to feel. See, in the way you see things, you are thinking that to have a perfect life, everything has to be perfect and right. And the way I see life is that we are guided to the most challenging moments because that's what we need to conquer or go through. So when you say, oh, I've had a perfect life, I've not had any illnesses, I've had no problems, all my family's perfect, I'd say you're just on holiday. That isn't really a life. You're just experiencing and relaxing, and maybe your last life was a real challenging one, so this time you're just having a holiday. But when people go through terrible pain and suffering, it's awful. It truly is. But I know that you are an amazing, powerful soul who has chosen to experience these things and to grow from them. So Spirit will often guide you to places where you're thinking that shouldn't have happened, when all along, when you move back into the spirit world, you go, thank goodness I managed to go through what I needed to go through there. Because we only come back again to experience it. And by the way, it might not only be in this world. You think this is the only world that we are on, that Spirit is on? We are Spirit. We can be on many worlds. This is a cosmos. It's a universe. It's huge. Don't be so naive to think we're the only ones, okay? So when people keep saying, well, how come this world is growing? It's growing because Spirit is everywhere, and there are many, many different planets and solar systems that we are on, okay? You're thinking here, but it's far away, and I'm saying there's no such thing in time and space. So now we're going too deep, but let's get back to it. Do we have spirit guides? Of course we do. You can call them what you want. I would call them your family in spirit. So before you come here, you make a decision to have people help you along this journey in this world without even realizing, and in our spirit world, home. So we can bump into somebody and all of a sudden we feel them and think, oh my God, I know who you are, but I've never met you before. Of course, you know who they are, you're feeling them. We've lost that connection, but sometimes, oh my God, I think I've recognized this person. Oh, it's deja vu. Yeah, of course, because you agreed to meet each other at some point. So that could be that you meet somebody and live with them for 20 years, and then all of a sudden you meet somebody else, and all of a sudden you think, oh my God, and these things happen, and they're all synchronicity based. They're all the foundation of your journey. There is no mistakes, really. Really, there isn't, apart from free will and free choice, which is I get into a car and I can now drive on the motorway, and it's my choice whether I drive at 60, 70, 80 or drive 200 mile an hour. If the chances, if I'm driving 200 mile an hour, then I'm gonna die. I'm gonna move back to my world. That's free will. That's my choice to do what I want. That's silly. That's not an accident. That's what I did. You know, so we have choice to be able to do what we feel is right. But then there are points in life where something so tragic happens and you'll say, well, I never asked for that to happen. And I would say, you probably did, but you don't realize that because you did it in the spirit world. And actually, you only understand any of this when you move back home. It all makes sense then, but you'll never make sense of it now. What I'm sharing with you is what I felt over 13 years of experiencing and listening and feeling people who are in that energy of healing, and I'm listening to the connection of spirit when they pass through you or are within you, and they're giving you information or sharing their whispers with you. You may think that's all crazy, what I'm saying, and maybe I am crazy. Maybe all of this is just an illusion. Maybe everything that you're seeing and feeling is all an illusion. I don't really know. But all I can tell you is my truth is what I feel, and I share that with you daily. That's all I do. I don't care whether you believe me or not. I do care when you say, oh, I felt that, and I go, wow, I'm happy you felt it. But if you say, I don't believe that, it doesn't matter. I'm not doing it to this isn't a religion. I don't care whether you believe it or not. But some people may get it and say, my God, Mark, this is confirmation for me because this just happened, and I'll go, good, so maybe there's a reason why I'm sharing these stories. Do you think I'm sharing the stories for money? Do you think I'm sharing them for wealth? Do you think I'm sharing them to be famous? I mean, look at me. I'm scruffy most of the time. I make mistakes. I do things wrong all the time. I say silly things, and, I do it because for some reason I feel I need to. And if you look back on 13 years of my life, every post on Facebook, every video that I've done is daily. Why have I? If you ask me, from now on, Mark, for the next 13 years, every day you're going to have to post on Facebook and you're going to have to do a video, I'm going to say, you what? Or Mark, you're going to have to work with clients every day, and you're going to have to do this. And I'd say, get stuff. There's not a chance I'm going to do that. I didn't set out to do any of this. This is why I wrote a book called The Diary of an Accidental Psychic, because that's exactly who I am. I'm one big accident. I am not really somebody who goes around saying, I was born with this gift and we're all born with a gift, for God's sake. There is no ego in me other than wanting to maybe I do one thing that may be not really brilliant, which is to say to you that you're amazing, you're beautiful and wonderful all the time. Because some people often say you've got to give them reality and say that some people aren't wonderful and brilliant and beautiful and kind. But you know what? If I'm to make the decision to say to people, you know what, you're not very nice, you make mistakes, you say bad things, you do bad things, then all they'll ever do is reinforce all of that. But if I can say to somebody, you know what, you are beautiful, you are, and I mean it, you are beautiful and you are a good soul, and then they change from being what they thought they were into something more kinder, then if they've done something good that day to somebody that they've never done, then maybe it might be a start of their life. There was a guy who went through a terrible state and did some terrible things apparently, and they called him Charles Bronson, his nickname was. And I remember the prison warden coming to our school and telling us the story about this man who did the most horrendous things. One day, what changed this man was this warden came to the school and told us the story that there was a box he was trying to open and he couldn't. So the warden took out of his pocket a knife and opened it and gave it to Charlie Bronson and said, here. And Charles Bronson took this knife and looked at him. And for the first time in his life, somebody trusted him with a knife. And Charles Bronson changed his whole life from that moment on. And that really touched my heart when I heard that. And I was only about 8 years old. But I heard that story and it made sense to me. How can you change somebody if you don't trust them and show them that they are more than what they think they've been told? So my life is the understanding now of helping people and knowing that you are beautiful, you are amazing, and you can change your life at any given moment, whether you're in a wheelchair, whether you've never had love all your life, whether you've been persecuted, whether people have called you awful things, whether you just feel that all your life has been one bad karma. I'd say at any moment of your life, because what you're going through and the challenges and the pains and the suffering show me how amazing you truly are. You've not just come here to experience life, you have come here to feel the most painful, challenging emotions that most people don't go through. So when you're doing that, I'm smiling thinking you are amazing. I don't look at you and think, oh, poor you, keep away from me, you've got bad luck, you're horrible. I think, no, I find you more fascinating because I know you must have been a powerful angel, or whatever you want to call yourself, angelic, beautiful spirit, to be able to go through the pain and suffering that you go through, to conquer it and to feel it. Now, conquering doesn't always mean that you're going to be better in it. It means that you go through it and you experience it. The experience is what you're here for. And when people are sad and down, people are sad and down. And when people are happy, they're happy. So they are equal energy and equal emotions. It's just that when you're down, it doesn't feel as good. When you're happy, you feel better. But they are still equal emotions. And we have to experience all of those things. So that's why Spirit is always with you, guiding you and helping you, even to the places where they're the most challenging places. Really, truly, they do. Because they know that's what you wanted before you came here. So they'll guide you to that place, but they'll help you too. So sometimes you might be guided to something like fame, but they'll stop you. And often with me, I've always been stopped with fame. I've had many, many opportunities to be on TV and to be famous, but I've always been stopped. And I laugh because I know why. Because I couldn't cope with it. It's no good for me. It wouldn't help me. It would make me, I'm too sensitive for any of that stuff. It's not real. It's not truth. It's all an illusion. You can see all famous people, how they get ill, poorly, go on drugs and lie and go through, and they hate themselves for what they've done because it's too much pressure. So I understand all of these things on that sense. So everything that you go through when you're stopped, I say, no, you're not stopped. You're protected. And they're just turning you gently another way. So yes, there is such thing, in my opinion, as a word which we call spirit guides, 2 words, okay? But they're family in spirit. That's how I see them. When you talk about angelic angels, when you talk about, the very powerful archangels, to me, everything in the spirit world is one. But we have to determine between something more powerful than another. I struggle with that. So I have to say, I'm sorry, I don't really work on that. You know what I do? I just say, look guys, whoever's around, come and help me. As long as it comes from pure love. That's all I'm interested. Beauty, pure love. Come through, light, good energy, come and help me. And they're always there anyway, so I don't even really need to say that. Because they've already been brought here before, probably 10 years ago. This all happened synchronistically as a very clever synchronicity that you couldn't even really truly understand, right? You couldn't even get your head around it. I can't. So everything happens very perfectly. So when you are looked after daily and protected and cared for, but you still have your free will and choice, that I believe is how it is every day. So like the little feather that turns up and the little quirky things that happen to you and me, it's just amazing. I'm not sure if I answered this fully for you, but if we were to spend a couple of days together to talk about this, I can go through everything really simple of what I've learned about spirit around you, helping you and protecting you. So on a final note, protection isn't always that everything good's going to happen. Protection could be that they're sending you in a certain direction to feel suffering And that could be a form of protection, because once you've gone through that suffering, you become stronger, and then you feel that energy of power. And now, wow, I can help somebody else. And all of a sudden, this protection energy is protecting others. So we fall to learn, to share, and then we become the wise protection for everybody else and ourselves. I think that makes a little bit of sense. But I'm sure you're going to ask me more questions, and I'm sure I'm going to try and help you as much as I can, as I do daily. And from my heart to yours, it's been 25 minutes. If you've been watching, good for you guys. This is probably the longest video I've done. But soon there will be the membership site. I'm still working on it today, and then this is kind of like the videos that I'm going to be doing on the membership site. So I will still be putting videos up which will be more like 5 minutes on YouTube, and then there'll be 25-30 minutes on the membership site coming soon. So I'm really excited about that as well, because I really want to share more in-depth things with you. And like from this video, which lots of things have been said, we will concentrate on one thing and go right to the core of that. So then you will understand that, and that's how we learn and grow. Okay, well, I hope this helped today, guys. From my beautiful mum, who sent me a sign this morning, and from me, thank you for always being my friend and being kind. From my heart to yours, have a great day. Wow, it's warm here on the Costa del Sol. Take care.